All I did was turn off my water. And by the next morning, my neighbor had no electricity, no tenants, a police fine, and nowhere left to live. If you've ever dealt with an entitled neighbor, someone who thought your things were their things, hit subscribe right now. Let me tell you how this started. I live in Asia, right in the capital city. Space here is expensive. Privacy is rare. And finding a house at a good price usually means something is wrong with it. In my case, a lot was wrong with it. The previous owners were family friends, good people, but life had hit them hard. They needed cash urgently and had already moved out of the country nearly 3 years earlier, leaving the house half renovated and slowly forgotten. So when they offered it to me, below market value, I didn't hesitate. From the outside, the place looked abandoned. From the inside, it felt abandoned. No proper door lock. Just a padlock, like someone locking a shed instead of a home. No gate either. No boundary. No signal that this place belonged to anyone. And the neighborhood? Let's just say, they noticed. I moved in immediately. First night. First reality check. When I pulled up, there was a bike parked inside my garage. Not broken down. Not abandoned. Just there. Like the place was community property. I didn't argue. Didn't look around for the owner. I calmly wheeled it out and parked it on the road. Then I installed a gate. Same day. A few hours later, there was banging. Hard. Angry. Persistent. I didn't open the gate. Through the window, I watched a man pacing, gesturing, muttering under his breath. After 15 minutes, he yanked the bike away and left. That was my welcome. After that, smaller things kept happening. My gate blocked, cars parked right in front like it didn't exist. People acting surprised when I asked them to move. Like I'd intruded on their routine. A simple no parking sign helped, but the feeling lingered. This neighborhood had grown used to the house being empty. Used to helping themselves. And one person, in particular, had helped himself a little too much. Next door lived an older man. Short. Stocky. Permanent scowl. He lived on the ground floor of a 3-story house. The top 2 floors were rented out. That's important. Before I ever met him, I knew his opinion of me. He was furious that the house had been sold. Not because I was a bad neighbor, he'd never even spoken to me, but because change itself annoyed him. He complained to my friends, the previous owners. About noise. About parking. About outsiders. They warned me. But I'm 6 feet tall, with 3 dogs and 0 patience for intimidation. So I didn't worry. At the time, I thought that meant I was safe. Last week, I was in the shower, hot water, quiet house, the kind of moment where your mind finally relaxes. Then the pressure dropped. Not suddenly. Not completely. Just, weaker. I stood there, water crawling instead of hitting, and listened. That's when I heard it. A deep mechanical hum. My neighbor's water pump. Now if you've lived in places like this, you know the system. Public water pressure isn't strong enough to push water up multiple floors. So homes use pumps to fill tanks on the roof. But coincidence? I waited. The pump shut off. I turned on the taps again. Perfect pressure. My stomach tightened. Because that wasn't coincidence. I tested it again. And again. Every time his pump ran, my water dropped. Every time it stopped, my pressure returned. Suddenly, years of unexplained details clicked into place. The water bills, even while the house sat empty. Probably leaks, everyone said. But they were too high. Too consistent. And now I understood. Somewhere. Over the last 3 years, that man had walked onto this property, found my water line, and helped himself. No permission. No payment. No guilt. Just entitlement. Here's the thing. Water here is cheap. Ridiculously cheap. Even with 3 dogs. Washing cars. Watering a garden. My monthly bill was around $5. This wasn't about money. It was about audacity. The kind of entitlement where someone decides your resources are theirs, and assumes you'll never notice. I lay awake nights. Thinking. Do I confront him? Do I get the authorities involved? Do I let it go? But the thought that kept circling back was simple: he thought he was clever. And he thought there were no consequences. That didn't sit right with me. Then I realized something. I didn't need to accuse him. I didn't need proof. I didn't even need to step foot on his property. Because everything he stole depended on my tap being on. I didn't slam anything. No dramatic gestures. No muttering. No adrenaline rush. I simply waited for the sound, that low, grinding hum of the pump starting up next door. And the moment I was sure it was running, I turned off my water at the main. That's it. No sabotage. No trespassing. No crime. Just silence. From my side, at least. Here's something most people don't think about. In houses like his, the water tank on the roof uses a ball valve. When the water level drops, the valve opens. That sends a signal to the pump: fill the tank. When the tank fills, the valve closes. The pump shuts off. Simple. Efficient. Unless there's no water coming in. Because, when the supply is cut, the water level never rises. So the valve never closes. And the pump? It just keeps running. Hour after hour. Trying to suck water from a pipe that's dry. Anyone who's even glanced at basic plumbing knows this: running a pump without water is a death sentence. The motor overheats. The system strains. Everything downstream pays the price. And his house? Had wiring straight out of the 1990s. I went to bed calm, and somewhere after midnight, I faintly heard it. The hum was still going. I rolled over. Checked the time. Went back to sleep. Then around 3 a.m., the neighborhood woke up. Doors opening. Footsteps. Voices echoing through the still air. Not angry yet. Confused, I opened my window just a crack. That's when I heard it. Why only our house? Someone sounded panicked. Another voice joined in. There's no power. The pump isn't working. Then shouting. Tenants. Real frustration now. It didn't take long for blame to land where it always does. The landlord. Because where I live, water and electricity aren't luxuries. They're legally protected essentials. If a tenant loses either, the responsibility falls squarely on the property owner, unless it's due to natural disasters or unavoidable external causes. This was neither. The shouting escalated, accusations flew. And something important happened. I heard the sound of doors being slammed, not in anger, but in decision. By morning, the entire house next door was dark. No lights. No pump. No movement. I turned my water back on. Perfect pressure. Like nothing had ever happened. Except next door, everything was unraveling. By noon, I learned the full picture. The pump hadn't just overheated. It had drawn power nonstop, overloading the old wiring. Fuses blown. Lines burnt. Electrical damage severe enough that the house was declared unsafe. No power. No water. And here's the part he didn't expect. Both tenants filed police complaints the same day. Not civil disputes. Immediate violations. In cases like this, the police don't wait and see. If the breach is clear, and this one was, they can issue fines on the spot. You can challenge it later in court. But first, you pay. And he paid. The fine alone was around $500. In my country, that's devastating. Then came the refunds. Both tenants demanded their full security deposits back. And they were legally entitled to them. One tenant moved out within 48 hours. The other followed soon after. Just like that, his only source of income vanished. I never smiled. I never laughed. But I felt something settle in my chest. Not triumph. Balance. Because none of this happened from aggression. None of it required force. It only required stopping him from stealing. And letting reality do the rest. 2 days later. There was a knock at my gate. Not angry. Not loud. Careful. Measured. I already knew who it was. I opened the gate just enough to see him. He looked smaller somehow. Tired. Hollowed. He didn't accuse me. He didn't threaten me. He just asked quietly, "Did you turn off your water?" I paused. Then smiled politely. "Oh, yeah. There was a leak in my tank. I shut it off until the plumber could come." He nodded, said nothing and walked away. As he turned, I caught it. Not anger. Not rage. Recognition. The kind that hits when you realize you stepped on the wrong stone, at the wrong time, in front of the wrong person. After that conversation at the gate, I didn't see him much. No more pacing. No more muttering. No more presence. Just silence. The house next door, once loud with tenant life and constant pumping, sat still. Empty. The irony didn't escape me. For years, he relied on my water to keep his house alive. Now he had neither. Within days, the consequences finished stacking up. Both tenants were gone. Their deposits refunded. The police fine paid. And because his wiring was outdated and unsafe, he wasn't allowed to rent the property again until everything was fixed. Rewiring. New pump. Safety checks. All expensive. All mandatory. He couldn't afford any of it. Those tenants hadn't just been renters. They were his entire income. He was a retired mechanic. No pension worth speaking of. No backup savings. No safety net. And suddenly, nowhere to stand. I learned from a neighbor that he was moving out on Sunday. Packing what little he could. Leaving the house behind. Going to live with his daughter. Not temporarily. Permanently. Because the math didn't work anymore. And math doesn't negotiate. The next week, I called a plumber. And every pipe leaving my property was traced. Cut. Removed. No shared access. No hidden lines. No loopholes. Clean. Legal. Final. The funny part? My water bill actually went down. He never confronted me again. Never accused me. Never admitted anything. Because doing so would mean acknowledging what he had done, and he knew he couldn't prove anything. I had broken no law. I hadn't even acted. I simply stopped providing something he was never entitled to in the first place. Like closing a door you should have closed years ago. The kind of peace that comes from knowing you didn't cross a line. You just stopped letting someone cross yours. I didn't ruin his life. I didn't set out to hurt anyone. I just turned off my water. And the consequences followed him all on their own. If you've ever dealt with someone who took advantage of your kindness, your resources, your boundaries, drop a comment below. What would you have done? Like this video if you believe justice doesn't always shout, sometimes it just flips a switch. Subscribe for more real stories where actions have consequences. Because respect isn't taken. It's enforced.
If you like stories where people finally get what they deserve, click the playlist on screen and binge the rest.